First, I'd like to start by acknowledging the audience which I have, the guests, and of course the traditional owners of the land that wherever you might be in use of for today, and all the elders past and present. We pay their respects. Now, today's virtual online day, open day, will be an interesting one. We hope that starting at this time, we'll be able to show you by 3 o'clock the world of what it is at Pal Buddhist School that happens. And despite the fact that we've been in a COVID lockdown, not much has changed. We have still ensured education goes on. Learning still is as active and engaged as ever, and that at the end of the day, no matter what happens in life, it never stops. So looking at what the lineup is for today, we expect to see the following, sorry, just trying to navigate two computers at once. Today's presenters, we have Mr. Pal, our founding principal. Joining us in the high school, we have our curriculum coordinator, Bodhidasa, Mr. Sortao, our Kappa coordinator, Mr. Wei, our sports coordinator, Mr. Chong in charge of stage 6, Ms. Kaur in charge of year 10, Mr. Tong in charge of year 9 in collaboration with Mr. D'Alessio, and Dr. Chung in mathematics. Behind the scenes, of course, we have several members of our admin and teaching staff helping to make sure that today's event runs as smoothly as possible. And in our primary team, we have Ms. Shaw, the primary coordinator, Ms. Zhu, our year 6 teacher, Ms. Hood, who is our primary Kappa and PDHPE teacher, and she's also been our stage 2 teacher. If there were questions, feel free to direct them her way. And Miss Lee, who is our language teacher in Chinese for both high school as well as primary school. So these are the staff that you'll get to hear from today, and I introduced to you their titles just in case you were able, in case you had some questions and wanted to direct them personally. So to start off for today, sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Miss Lam. I am the head of school here at Pal Buddhist School in the Canley Vale campus. The structure of today, what we can expect to endure and experience. We firstly have an address from our founding principal, Mr. Pal, followed by a Q&A from the audience. So if from Mr. Pal's delivery of our vision, mission, and approach of the school, if you have any questions you would like to ask him, I strongly encourage you to write them down if you want to grab some pen and paper and have that in front of you, because throughout today, we hope and we really would be it would be lovely to hear some questions from the audience, and we'll try our best to address them on the spot. After the Q&A with Mr. Pal, all of our attendees will break off into experience sessions with our respective teachers. After that, we'll come back together and talk about some results as we then proceed further, and you'll have some time to ask questions from our teachers, or even if you didn't get to hear from any one of them today, that's the time that you can direct your question. And at the end, if there are, we'll conclude the day, and hopefully that'll take us through to about 3 o'clock. All right, so we'll get started. I'd like to first show you a video. In this video, it captures the summary of Pal Buddhist School. I hope you enjoy it.
We are a school that invite seekers, people who want to find out about who they are. And that is a challenge not just for the students, but for adults. What have we done that is beneficial to the students here? What do you think? Can you see? A student comes to a school, and every school, what they're going to get taught is about the outside world, isn't that right? They just focus on building the intellect. But we are unique because we turn the attention of the student inside. We teach them how to understand who they are as a human being. I don't think there are many schools out there who dare to turn the students inside, to look inside, to change who they are so that they can live a wholesome, noble life. And from the result of that, as you can see here, a school that is unique. These values are humanistic values which are common to all human beings. We're building the human. And if you look at Kappa, which is this most recent event, how does that do it to the individual? And I think you can see selfless joy is there, compassion is there, loving kindness is there. Do they have the work on the right speech? Yes, they do. Does the speech not have to not hurt other people, not hurt them? Should they avoid idle chatter? Should they avoid gossiping? Should they avoid harsh speech? They're all there, aren't they? Look at the right livelihood. How is the morality, how is the wisdom built into there? How is diligence built into there? If the parents just teach these kids responsibly, if they stand up at home, take up the moral responsibility just to teach them how to cook so that they can survive, in that there will be compassion arising, there will be loving kindness, there will be generosity, there will be patient understanding in them, which is equanimity. It's just one of our training grounds, to come inside, to understand who we are. If we understand who we are, then success in the outer world is actually easy to obtain. Greatest challenge is to unlock the weaknesses within. The greatest opponent is not in front of them, it's actually inside. Whether it's martial artists, or whether it's music, or whether it's sport, it is the same. The human element are all the same. We are trying to figure out how to unlock all these entanglement. Because most of the problem we have in our life is not outside, it's actually inside. We are the finder, we are the seekers, all of us. None of us know everything. And when we seek, our seeking become more clear because our students are the platform that allow us this opportunity to cultivate our own light inside.
Okay, so that was the video. I hope that from that you understood of our approach to education, and it is rather unique. And we hope that today you'll get a taste of how unique that is. Now, I'd like to introduce you to the school from an overview point of view before we head on to the talk with Mr. Powell. And something that a lot of parents and even benefactors and supporters of our school, when they come in, something they often want to understand is how it is that we approach education. And you can see a diagram here of a house. Let me just get that up. So there's a diagram of a house. And this is an analogy that's always used by Mr. Powell when he's speaking with parents to let them understand how it is that we approach the learning and teaching of a child. And at our school, especially from Mr. Powell, you'll hear the analogy of a plant very often. We always we are asked to look at a student like they are a seed or they are a plant, and that the growth of that plant or seed is not just dependent on the seed alone. In other words, you can't expect that the child, just by progressing through 18 years, will know and will find his or her own way. It is so crucial that all the environmental factors are there to nurture the growth, from nutrients and watering to sunlight and soil. They are pretty much the same as for a child, and the equivalent would be family, food, of course, supplements, the essential of life. But in addition, school, friends, the influences they have around them, whether that be social media or that be through other forms of media, what it is that they absorb, a young mind absorbs, and what they make of it determines who they then become. And so as a school, our role is quite important in this building of foundations in a house. And as you can see in the diagram on the screen, you've got the green marbly grass. There are two pillars that hold up every building. And Mr. Powell would always say that the very first and most important pillar, which represents foundations, would be coming from parents. Because as is always said around our school, we are the children's second teacher, and the parents is the number one teacher, because we only have the children up to about 18 years, until 18 years old. The rest of the time they are out of our hands. But as a parent, they are your children, and you are their teacher for life. But parents alone is not enough. This is where an important foundation in partnership with parents, the school, needs to come in. So together we build the foundations of the student, and thereby we reach the student as the one on top, building a roof. And the reason why Mr. Powell uses this analogy is because the student, you see the roof, touches both of the pillars, and the roof or the structure requires both in order to be able to sit on top and finish that the enclosure. So for that reason, without any one of the two foundations, it would be quite weak. And so in going further, there is a very strong partnership and connection between the student and their parent, or the children and their parent. That is quite obvious, and we need not emphasize. Between the student and the school, there is also a very strong connection, because we see them for 6 hours of the day, and parents are with them for the other 18 hours of the day. But what often doesn't get done, and if so, it doesn't get done well, is the last connection, and that is the one between the parents and the school. If the two foundations are not in partnership with each other, they cannot produce a consistent learning environment for that child. You might have one pillar that is taller than the other. The roof won't sit well. You might have one pillar that's made out of sponge and the other one that's made out of concrete. One is softer and the other one is firm. Either way won't work well. So it is very important that whatever the children are exposed to with us in the 6 hours a day, that it is also reflective of the parent or the family's values and environment that the children come home to every day. And so because of that, at Powell Buddhist School, parents are brought into our everyday involvement. There are several activities, meetings, events throughout the day, throughout the year, that we involve parent participation in. So with that, for those parents who feel that this is very much in line with your philosophy of how you'd like to raise your child, that's obviously the first of a very good start with us. Now, for you to gain some insight about what we do, so going into detail about the student and the school relationship, I'd just like to now go through our what it is that we do here. So with the school, our philosophy on education is two-pronged. The first is that the most obvious one, we manage and handle the academic growth of your child. It is our job to inoculate your children with the intelligence they need to have in order to succeed at school and in later life. So that comes in the form of knowledge. And we are specialists in giving out that knowledge, but having said that, we require parents to support us in that. The other aspect, and this is where we require more than just parent support, but actually parent partnership, is we also build character at our school. So it's not just a place where we open up textbooks and we get your children great exam marks. To us and to the vision, our founding principle, and to the future of our school, children's character development is equally, if not even more important than the academic growth. And to us, character means wisdom, morality, and diligence. You'll hear more about these three words in Mr. Powell's presentation that will come through shortly. And on the side of academics, I'd like to just focus on that. I presume that many parents would be curious about how we approach academics. So firstly, I'd like to dispel any worries and let you know that despite being a young and a small school, our curriculum is comprehensive. So all the schooling requirements from year 3 to year 12, we offer them just like any other school. But we have bonuses. We do above and beyond the minimum in terms of ROSA and NAPLAN requirements and so on. You can see there a list of our timetabled curriculum, and they are all the requirements. And of course, these are just faculties. There are lots of sub-branches that go into subjects that within each faculty. And you'll notice at the end of that list, everything should be familiar to all, except the one at the end of the list, which is Dharma and ethics. That, on the other hand, is not government influenced. That is the spiritual and humanistic teachings of our school. So where I showed you earlier on the slide that we develop character, we have a time to do it that's timetabled in, but we also have infused in our school culture that teaching that occurs everywhere else too. But in Dharma and ethics, students come to learn not about, it's not a scripture class. It is a class that teaches them the techniques of how to look into their mind and explore the challenges and understand, find some clarity with how muddled our mind can be, from perspectives to feelings to wisdom and so on. And the aim of Dharma and ethics at our school is to gear students up with the ability to apply wisdom in life in every situation they approach, and ultimately make the right decision for themselves. You'll hear more about that undoubtedly throughout today as well, because it does represent one of the more important aspects of how we approach education of a child. Next up we have is sports. So despite, again, being a small and a young school, our sports curriculum, we break through the boundaries of our school, and we offer sports with the ability to form partnerships with local facilities. Examples would be the Mounties Club in Mount Pritchard, which has some state-of-the-art facilities for sports. We have a partnership with them, and we use their basketball courts, tennis courts, netball courts, and swimming pool. We also have, we utilize the local PCYC, the local Cabraval Leisure Centre, and all of that. So in terms of sports, not only will your children have equal opportunities in a schooling context, but even on a competitive context. We are a member of the Combined District of Secondary Schools Sports Association, CDSSA. And from that CDSSA, we have competitions with other schools, so inter-schools competitions and gala days as well. And some of our students have indeed gone up to as far the equivalent of local, regional, state level of competitions. Also, another stream would be our creative arts. Students have opportunities to join stage band, choir, visual arts clubs, a student-led Kappa committee, and the tabletop role-playing game club, which is a strategy-based game club for students who want to take advantage of the benefits of gaming rather than the unwholesome fruits. Outside of these faculties, we also have the Writers Circle, which is a literacy and a writing club, and they too compete on a national level too. So of most recently, we've had students compete in writing competitions across Australia, and we've even had some of our students making it through to the finalist round in the Writers Circle in I think it was a poetry competition too. So that's for the engaged writers. And lastly, we have a chess club. Likewise, this is an inter-schools competition where we compete with local schools such as Macquarie Fields, Sefton, Patrician Brothers, in a chess competition run on a weekly basis. So, and we're very proud of all of our students across all of the competitions that I've mentioned so far. We've had students that so many, almost every year, we make it into a finalist in one way or another. And so it is with that environment, it really goes to show that it's the spirit that matters. Next up is just offering you the glimpse of what we have in terms of student leadership. This is a very large part. If you haven't already read about our school vision, it is to nurture future wholesome leaders with a selfless purpose to light up the world. And in this slide, I'm emphasizing on the word leaders. So that means whether your child comes in as a shy person, as a talkative person, as someone who is full of ideas, or as someone who's waiting for their potential to be unleashed, we see a leader in every child, and our job is to use wisdom, morality, and diligence to bring out the leader in your child. And it doesn't matter if your child doesn't wish to become the Prime Minister of Australia in the future or any other form of leadership, because we believe that you don't need to be a leader to be superior in the society. It is the leadership heart, the willpower, the strategy, and the ideas that everyone can apply in every situation. So, for opportunities to allow students to develop and enhance this leadership skills, we have the Student Representative Council, shortened as the SRC. And in that, we're very proud of our SRC. They have established and currently running several groups. I've got 2 of them up here. They're the ones that have been active throughout the COVID period, despite the lockdown. And the first one is the Voice of Student Society. So this is a multimedia videography and photography club. And so students, if anyone's interested in shooting videos or taking beautiful photos, compiling and doing video editing, this is the club for you. Our students on a weekly basis, they're like little news reporters going around capturing life around the school and broadcasting that on YouTube. And some of the videos of our Voice of Student Society has received up to 2,000 views on their videos that have been published online. So we're so proud to see the accomplishments there. The Dust and Shine group is a self-discipline training fun club. It turns cleaning into a perfectionist obsession. It turns tidiness and self-organization into something to be proud about. So in Dust and Shine, we learn how to be taking ownership of our environment, whether that be at home or at school, and performing selfless acts of tidy up, clean up, systematic working. And their motto is a clean house or a clean school is a clean mind. We also have the Boys and Girls Club, which is a very strongly parent-involved club. And for all the parents out there, this is my invitation to you now that we would love for you, all PAL students, we ask their PAL parents to be a part of this club. This is where we impart life skills to the students. Examples I can think of that we've done in the past, we've run sessions on cooking courses, on survival skills in the bush, how to sew a button on a shirt, and so on. Just the basic life skills around a fun and engaged environment. And lastly, we've got the training grounds. The training grounds are one of the foundations of our school. Every student must participate in the training grounds, and these are spread across the entire year. So over 4 terms, we have all students participating in and even competing in cooking, performance, debating, and public speaking. And these are just some. There are others that I haven't listed on here. If I was to summarize the training grounds, it would be the aim of all of these. It's not about cooking per se, nor is it really about public speaking. But if we go down deeper, it is about building student accountability, responsibility, respect, discipline, and integrity, which is like honesty. So we use these activities, we make it fun, we make it engaging, and we make it competitive. And by students participating in it, they inherently develop those qualities I just listed. So all of that, I hope you're not feeling overwhelmed, and if you are, I do apologize. But from that, at least I hope that you start to understand how it is that PAL Buddhist School approaches education. And so does it work? Well, academically, we know that it has. I'm pleased to inform you of our NAPLAN results. For 2019, you may have already seen this. It's on our website. We ranked #1 in our region, and that's across about 51 schools. And we're very proud of this because it's not an easy thing to be able to do in just our 7th year of establishment to be able to rise to the top in our local region, especially given that there are many reputable schools around our region, ones that have been in the community for a very long time. And we're proud because our students showed that there is no limitation. Once the mind is willing to succeed and they've got the right environment to grow, anything is possible. Recently, we've received our results for 2021, and we were even more happier because out of the 20 strands that get tested, 19 of them were above national average. So this is an excellent result. We don't yet have the ranking for our local for how we did in the 2021 NAPLAN, but we know for sure we did better than we did in 2019, and fingers crossed, not only did we maintain first in our region, but we did even better than that and came first in a larger area than our local region. All right, so next up is that's all from me. I hope that that's a summary and that will form the connection to what we're about to do next. We will hear from our founding principal, and following that, we will break up into our sessions with our teachers. So once again, I just remind you, if you'd like to take a pen and paper or a phone, if you want to take down any notes for our any questions as you hear Mr. Powell's speech. We'll then be able to address it at the end. So, Mr. Powell, I'd like to invite you to now start with your presentation.
Okay, thank you. I'm hoping that everybody out there in the online world can hear me. Welcome to all new prospective parents and students, and thank you to all the teachers and the students who have been putting a lot of effort to make this online experience one of the best, as usual. This is the standard of Pao Buddhist School. We may be small in size, but our hearts and minds are probably as big as the biggest school in the world, if not bigger. I guess one of the questions, as you saw just now, Ms. Lam talked about, in our school, on our journey as the first Buddhist high school in Australia, in 7 years, we're able to achieve such academic excellence. And one of the burning questions from many parents and educators alike was, if I can have the question up there, Ms. Lam, I'm not sure if you do. Questions that often that's been asked of me after our result our NAPLAN result came out was this: how is it that we can achieve academic excellence when our motto is through wisdom and morality and diligence, we achieve enlightenment? Because in the motto itself, it doesn't appear that we are tackling academic excellence. Right, so here's the question: how does nurturing morality, wisdom, and diligence in a student, how can that produce academic excellent student? Well, the answer to that question is easy if you dig into the common sense. But if you look at the world through the lens of the worldly view, what I mean by that is you look at the world from an economic lens. From an economic lens, most parents are trying to encourage their children to compete, to get into, the selective schools, the academically renowned school. They tend to be very expensive school, or they tend to be selective schools. And I myself was a graduate of a selective school, and from my experience in selective school, I know that most of the education was done by the students and the parents at home, not really the school. So, and the focus of parents is always based on wherever there's success. If you hear of success, academic success in a school, any school, they will redirect their compass and try to get into that school. Many parents will even change addresses just to move to those schools. Now, I've been in education for almost 30 years now. Of course, my qualified degree from university was computer engineering, but I've been teaching way before I became an engineer. And I saw the pattern of what we need, or what it needs, and what teachers need to do in order to produce well-rounded, successful students, not just in academic, but in any area, any aspect of their life. And the key to that, of course, is in a pathway. Some people call it, say to me that we have a secret weapon or secret tool or secret formula. There is not this pathway that we have is no secret. It's actually found 2,500 years ago by a fully enlightened being. He was called the Buddha. Our secret, which is not really a secret, it's a well-known path revealed by the Buddha. The pathway in which we use to bring our students to great success in academic or any other aspect of their life and beyond our school as well, that's what we anticipate, is known as the Eightfold Noble Path. Can I move to the next slide, please, Islam? For those of you who do not know the Eightfold Noble Path, just because I mentioned the name of the Buddha, fear not that I am talking about religion. For the Buddha's teaching is not towards religious indoctrination. He is more of a scientific man than he is a religious man. He is more of an engineer than he is a religious teacher. The Buddhist approach is very scientific, and in his path, the Eight Noble Path, which is, can I have the next slide? In his path, in the Eight Noble Path, he spells out the pathway to wisdom, to morality, and to diligence. He didn't call it diligence. I mean, the words used in the Pali words is panya, sila, samadhi, which for our school's sake, panya is equivalent to wisdom, morality is sila, and samadhi, we use the word diligence rather than concentration because it's a pathway for one. So you imagine this pathway as the key, not imagine, but actually it is the key for us. It is the roadmap. In fact, this is the roadmap for our success. And if you look at this carefully here, we need to understand it clearly to understand how this actually can produce academically excellent students. Or this will produce students who, if they become doctors, if they become lawyers, they become engineers, or they become nurses or teachers, they will become the best at their field. Now let's focus back to academic excellence first, because I think that's the most concerning issue or most pressing issue for most parents when you choose school. I invite you to look at right understanding. In the first part of the Eight Noble Path, the Buddha talked about right understanding. All right. In the second part, he talked about right thinking. Now I'm going to unpack this a little bit for you. The two paths put together, he called that wisdom. That's the notion of wisdom from the Buddhist point of view. The notion of academic excellence is, in fact, intelligence. If we look at the world, most intelligent people have right understanding of knowledge that's been given to them. Whether they are PhD, doctors, professors, whether they are engineers, whether they are scientists, they're expert in their field, or they're called intelligent people because they have the right understanding of the knowledge that they have learned or that was taught to them. Now, there are many, many intelligent people, many people, especially in the West, many intelligent people who have right knowledge. And here's a question I'd like you to think about. We all know that we're living in a time where the planet Earth is in great trouble. From world pollution resulting from burning of fossil fuel, to plastic problem, to uneven distribution of wealth. So many problems. Let me ask you this question. There are two distinct groups of people in the world. The people who are not so intelligent, having less education, having less opportunities to get a high education. And there are those who are very highly educated, the intelligent people. Which of those group of people is more responsible for the damage to the world? Now, I'll tell you, plastics, fossil fuel, ozone layer problems. I don't think many of the people who cannot afford great education have any idea how to produce them in mass production or even just a little bit of production. Right? So most of the world's problem I put to you, this is my view, has been caused by the most intelligent people on the planet. Okay, Einstein once said that he regret that he discovered the atom bomb. If he only realized what man used it for, to kill each other, maybe he would have found a different path. So developing intelligence alone is clearly not enough. We need to educate our students how to think correctly. Now, thinking correctly means, the intelligent people do think. So we have to, the Buddha talked about right thinking, right understanding. Now, when we're talking about right understanding and right thinking, it's opposite to wrong thinking and wrong understanding. Right thinking is the ability to know that when you do something wrong, you let it go, you cut it off. Even if you're motivated by becoming rich, economic interests, you will cut it off because you know that your action or your speech will end up hurting many other people. Now, if you only have intelligence without that ability to think with compassion, with loving kindness, with empathy, then you have wrong thinking, because wrong thinking is often motivated by greed, by hate, and of course, delusion, ignorance. So wisdom entails two things: right understanding, which is intelligence, and the ability to have right thinking. Right? It's important that parents should find a school that nurture not only the intelligence, but also the right thinking, which ultimately is wisdom. So a person that have wisdom, you can say that that person also will have intelligence. But a person who is intelligent, you may not say, you may not be able to say that they have wisdom, because they may not have the right thinking. Okay, so many psychopaths in the world, I know, forgive me for using the word psychopath. Many psychopaths in the world are often very intelligent people, and they do a lot of harm. And that's why wisdom is such an important factor of Pao Buddhist school. Now, how do you nurture wisdom in a young person? You nurture wisdom through morality. And that's the next section on on the Buddhist Eight Noble Path. Can I have a bit, that slide zoom a bit so I can see morality, please? If you look at morality, if you ask any adults, people in this Western world, very advanced world, they talk about morality, they talk about ethics. I often ask people when they talk about, being of high moral, the question I ask is, what exactly is moral or morality? The average intelligent person in this very advanced Western world struggle to give me a solid, definite answer of what morality means. And here, I invite you to look at the morality as defined by a fully enlightened human being. He said that morality, if you want to measure the morality in a human being, look at their speech. There are two types of speech only: wrong speech and right speech. A person who have high morals have right speech. Then look at their action. Again, there's only two types of action. Well, there's actually three. There's a middle one, but that's inaction. That's also action. But let's look at the two main type people perceive as action. Either you have the wrong action or you have the right action. And of course, the last one, which you can measure morality of a person by, is their livelihood, how they live. Now that might be a bit odd, because you might think that livelihood is a combination of speech and action. The reality is that right livelihood, when the Buddha talked about right livelihood, he is talking about the pattern of thinking of a person. You see, you measure a person through speech, action, and their thinking. But the unfortunate thing is, because we are unenlightened human beings, we do not have the skills to read other people's minds. Right? So if you can't read people's minds, then all you have to do is look at their pattern of livelihood. If you look at the pattern of livelihood of an individual, you can actually look at their past thinking, because the manifestation or the growth of a person thinking come through their speech and through their action. And so that action and speech will result in the way they live. Yeah, you've all heard of the saying, the person is either, an action, the person's actions reflect their speech, or the person's action doesn't reflect their speech. So livelihood is exactly that. You learn to look at a person's track record of thinking just through the way they're living. That's morality. Now, how does that morality help wisdom? Right? The question, that's a hard question. And morality, in fact, is this is the core roots of morality. And in our school, Buddhist school, we actually adopted the 10 codes of moral conduct, which is morality being broken up further, clearer by the Buddha. The Buddha basically breaks speech into 4 types, action into 3 types, and thinking into 3 types. That becomes the moral codes of conduct of our school. The question, I guess, is for parents and for students out there. Wisdom is, you can look at wisdom as the greatest tool that a person can possess. And that tool can be nurtured, can be grown, can be multiplied in growth, in size. And I'm telling you that the key to growing that morality, that wisdom, is actually through the increase of morality. And that's very hard for the average person to actually map that together. And I've spent quite a number of years now studying this. And I put it into practice, I put it into school. Even the staff at Buddhist school have also tested this together as a team here. And what I think some of the testing grounds that you may see if you come to our school would be found in the training grounds that Ms. Lam talked about earlier. But to make you understand this in a very quick time frame, I guess I can give you a quick analogy. Imagine the student to be a plant that you're trying to grow. Right? So if you're going to try to increase the wisdom of the student, you can imagine the growth of the plant and the fruition of the plant to be similar to the growth in wisdom of a young person. So morality, therefore, would be similar to the soil that the plant's growing in. If a plant have great nutritious soil, then that plant will have a greater opportunity to grow great fruits that can benefit many people. If a plant that don't have great soil, for example, if you can think of a plant that don't have very good soil to grow in, can you think of one in your head? One that come into my head is a cactus plant. Can you imagine a cactus plant in your head? What type of soil does cactus grow in? Now we can all, I don't know about you, but I think everybody should be able to visualize that you can often find cactus growing in desert, isn't that right? Very dry, arid land, nutrients there, but cactus still able to grow. But can you visualize the traits of a cactus plant? Very spiky. You can't touch it that easily. If there's fruit, there's flowers there, that you can actually eat flowers of cactus, but then there's plenty of water in a cactus as well, but it's very hard to go and access that. Not many people want to go and touch a cactus plant unless they have no other choice. So morality is exactly like that to a human being. Morality, when we talk about soil, we're talking about, the environment that children live in. First environment is at home, right? If the home environment has high moral standard, then the child will grow well. And therefore they will have the ability to nurture right understanding, right thinking. The next most important part of the child's growth is at school. Because for most of their weekdays, from 8 o'clock to 3:30 or 3 o'clock, they spend their times with their peers and their teachers. So if the school have high morality, then the students will also have great grounds to grow in. When you nurture that, the opportunity for wisdom, for intelligence and wisdom will grow. Then, of course, if you can nurture morality well, you have to teach the students to have grit, to have resilience. In our school, we call that diligence. They need to be shown the pathway to exert right effort. Not only do they have to put effort, I mean, if your effort is not mindful, then you could go the wrong way. Like a cactus plant, I am sure a cactus plant puts a lot of effort to extract whatever resource it can get from that poor soil, but it will still grow. But the result of that plant is very spiky, not very useful to anybody. But if you look at a mango tree, it will put its effort to try and bring up the nutrients from the great soil. And as a result of that, the mango tree produces beautiful mango. Whether it's green or whether it's ripened, it is useful to many, many people. So right effort, right mindfulness, and right mastery is the path that the Buddha called samadhi, but we call it diligence. We have to nurture that in the students. Okay, so that's a very short nutshell explanation of how we apply the Eight Noble Path. But what I have good news for you. After this, you will see how our teachers at Pao Buddha School apply the Eight Noble Path across their curriculum, across their teaching. And people ask, how often do we, apply the teaching from the Dharma? The Dharma is the teaching, of course, from the Buddha. Again, please don't be scared and think that it's religious. Think of the Buddha as equivalent to an Einstein or a Nikola Tesla. But his scientific knowledge, his mastery is in the human mind. Okay, whereas Einstein is in, looking at quantum physics and other things. Buddha's specialty is understanding the nature and the inclination and the intricacy of how human beings function. You're going to be seeing that in how our teachers actually apply this through to make their curriculum effective. I guess the question for you is, how do we nurture morality? How do we nurture wisdom? How do we nurture diligence? Well, it's not just that. I mean, it's not only these things that we're talking about. I mean, when we look at a human being, when we look at the human mind, we have to look at, I present you this idea. As I told you that my professional background from university is computer engineering. As a computer engineer, we are supposed to be able to design using artificial intelligence. So the artificial intelligence may look like a human being. Everybody's expected to look at a robot, but let me tell you that even your smartphone now, even the tablets that we're looking at now, have a lot of intelligence in it. I mean, if you just have to type some words, some phrases in a Word document, the word itself will help you correct your grammar. So there's artificial intelligence. Now, the irony is this: as human beings are getting more intelligent in the Western world, our endeavor is actually to try and create some intelligence, external intelligence, right? And we're thinking, whenever we see something so intelligent, we're thinking, wow, that's amazing. But the reality is, if you actually look at the human mind, every creation so far, even Elon Musk, SpaceX, and electric cars were created by his mind. So there's a machine that is so much more powerful than any machine that is ever able to be created by any engineers in the present time, and that's our human mind. And yet nobody knows. Nobody knows it's working. Nobody knows it's functioning. Nobody's able to write a manual of it. Nobody in the present time. But yet a fully enlightened being 2,500 years ago wrote a manual to this very advanced, complex machinery called the human mind. It's called a Dharma. So please don't think that we are a school that is religious. We're a school very scientific in our method and our approach. Everything we do is very scientific in our approach. So moving on to the next slide, please, Ms. Lam. Okay, so end my part here. Basically, if you have any questions, this is where I can take it. And if you have no question, I guess what you're going to be going through next is the opportunity to see how our high school teachers, how our primary school teachers. I will come back to you at the end of the teacher's presentation, and let me remind all of you one thing. Answering question is the easy part. Whether that be from an engineer's point of view or whether that be from the Dharma point of view, having the right question is the intelligent part. So I encourage you, ask questions.
Yes, I'd like to invite families to add their questions in the chat box of their Teams screen. So if you look at the top right-hand corner of your Teams window, there's one that looks like a little speech bubble. If you click on that, you'll be able to add your questions in the Q&A section, and we'll then be able to address them with greater efficiency. You can have your children helping you to type it out, or you can type it out yourself. Okay. All right. So what we'll do, I'm going to show you a video that is from our students, and after that, I'll ask you to take a quick stretch, and then we'll get into our bit of practicality with our teachers' sessions. So here's a video I'd like to present to you on behalf of the Student Voices.
My name is Linda.
Eric.
Tiani.
Ryan. Nail Ashok Kumar.
Welcome to a day in the life of a Power Buddhist school student.
What do you have next?
Geography.
Despite the COVID-19, I found it really good that at this school we can still have online classes, so I can continue my education. From the platforms that we were using, it was still really helpful and effective to be able to continue our education. All the staff and teachers at this school, they went out of their time to help continue our education. So I really want to thank you for that.
Ever since I moved to this school, I've noticed myself improve in many subjects, one of them being commerce. This is because with our teacher, due to the small class sizes, the teacher offers us more direct help compared to my old school, where we had a pretty big class size, which was about 30 students.
This learning technology has helped my ability so the teachers will be able to mark my work anytime, anywhere, since they have my notebook on their computer, so then it will be easier for the results to come in faster. So here is an example of what I've done. So here I have written down an essay, and the teacher has been able to mark it since that they have my notebook in their computer, and here I get the results quicker and faster.
When I was in my old school, running for SRC was based on attractiveness and popularity, but when I moved to Power Buddhist school, I realised that it was not based on those, but the qualities of who I really am, and they get to see my true heart. The moment you walk into the school, you get to say hi to people, and they're all true friends.
Everybody gets along with each other, and they help each other when someone's alone.
It allows me to express who I really am, and to be honest with myself.
School culture in Power Buddhist School is very inclusive and nurturing. Although we are a small school, we have a big heart.
The entire community here, both staff and students, work together to create a community that nurtures each other's well-being.
There are a lot of co-curricular activities you can do here at POW. Creative and performing arts, public speaking, student clubs, and way more.
The Right Action is a Power Buddhist School's performing arts program that encourages all students to develop their diligence and to nurture their creativity. Students learn to step out of their comfort zone, discover hidden talents, and to develop kindness and appreciation for their peers.
The Right Livelihood is Power Buddhist School's cooking competition. It helps all students develop a greater understanding of their own culture, as well as greater appreciation for the sacrifices their parents have to make every day. Through preparing dishes for parents and teachers, our students develop compassion, gratitude, and selfless joy while building skills necessary for everyday life.
The Right Speech is a Power Buddhist School public speaking competition that helps students nurture priceless personal characteristics through the exploration of worldly topics and the teachings of the Buddha.
The Right Speech helps us develop confidence, courage, and a greater understanding of how the Dharma relates to our lives.
The Right Effort is Power Buddhist School sports program that helps students to set ambitious goals and aspire to be the best athletes they can be. From sports, we learn to be supportive teammates, develop diligence, and cultivate an enthusiastic and steadfast determination towards our pursuits.
Our fort washing ceremony aims to foster the values of respect, gratitude, and humility. It gives students a meaningful way of honouring the great parents, mentors, and teachers in our lives.
Shave for Wasak is a Power Buddhist School student-led initiative that invites us to conquer our fear and also cut off our hindrances. Participants shave their hair to symbolize the letting go of ego and sensual desire for external beauty and embracing the realization that it is our inner beauty that radiates foremost.
I think what the greatest thing the school's done for me is how simple it's made for me to understand myself, understand my actions, understand my mindset, and understand how the way I conduct myself will affect other people. That's what this school gives, clarity. If it wasn't for this school, all the students here, I think, wouldn't be who they are right now. Students instilled with wisdom and morality alongside diligence, who will come to learn and be ingrained with an understanding of themselves and a great ability to understand other people so that they can live a fulfilling life. You helped me become the person I am today, and for that, I'm forever grateful.
With that, thank you to our students who participated in the making of that video and to the staff who helped to compile. What a fantastic rainbow of colours from all the different activities around our school, both past and present. Okay, I'd like to invite you to take a quick stretch. We've been sitting down for about an hour, just over an hour now. So if everyone would like to get up in their chairs, reach the sky, reach the ground, do a little spin around and come back to the screen, and we'll begin the session with our teachers.
Welcome to all of our guests today. Welcome to Power Buddhist School. I'm actually here presenting on behalf of the high school. We have two sessions that we're going to share with you today that are going to demonstrate what has been put forward by Mr. Powell and Ms. Lamb. We're going to demonstrate what that looks like on the ground. You're going to be participating in this yourself, and to do that you're going to need access both to Teams, where you are now, and to OneNote, which I believe you've been set up in, so that you can get an experience of what it's like to be a student. Now, I'm going to be sharing a screen with you, and we're also going to be hearing from you through a particular medium. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and you'll be able to see what I can see at the same time. Now, what we want to hear from you about is we want to hear what's concerning you. Our aim is then to prove to you, as best we can, how Power Buddhist School implements the Eightfold Path to address the problem that concerns you. So on what we have here for you is we're actually really interested in hearing from you that you have about young people today. Now, on the screen at the moment, you will see a couple of ways to access this material. If you have a smartphone with you, you can actually use this QR code to take a picture, and that will take you directly to our poll that we're going to do with you. This is the main question we're looking at. What do you think are the most important issues, sorry about the mistake there, facing young people? Rank in order of importance. Another way to find that would be to follow this link or use the website slido.com. You can open a browser and go to slido.com. If you do that, it will ask you for this number here, hashtag 440, or this number 440157. When you go into there, you also, Mr. Chong has actually added a link in the chat to you as well. So if you follow that, it will take you directly to the slide, and we're going to go through what these options are with you. So the problems are listed there for you. There are a variety of things that young people you may be concerned about with your own children, the ones who you'd like to bring to our school. We'd like you to select 3 of those that are most concerning to you. 3 of those that you feel you would like our school to help you address. Mr. Chong, are you able to show us that list on screen, please? Can you do that directly live for us?
You can scroll down, sir, until it syncs.
You've got them there? Perfect. You've put them there for us? Thank you very much. So that's just happened right now, immediately, so we're able to share that information straight away. Thank you, Mr. Chong, because that wasn't there before. So these are some of the concerns that you might have. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit in case you can't see. Maybe you're concerned about young people being addicted to their mobile phones. They're on their phones when they should be talking to you at the dinner table, perhaps. Are they addicted to games, whether computer games or console games or other forms of games? I won't read through them all. Whatever you choose, if you could choose 3, and in a moment we're going to collect that information and we're going to take one of those key problems that you see and we're going to unpack that. Now, we don't know what one you're going to choose. Okay? We're just going to give that a couple more minutes. Now, just while that's loading, I just want to unpack what we're going to explore with you shortly. Mr. Powell has gone through this diagram with you of the Noble Eightfold Path, and I think it's really great that that foundation has been laid for us. We're going to be using the Eightfold Path to unpack how we look at a school learning sequence and how that applies the Noble Eightfold Path. Then we're going to see just how those skills transfer to your problem, the problem that you are most concerned about. Now, as you can see, we've got this page is set up, and we're going to look at what problem you would like us to focus on today. Now, the ranking has gone in. Thank you. That's just gone directly in now. I think that's fantastic. We've now got the top 3 results or top 4 results there have come through to us based on you. And the biggest concern, according to you, is the addiction to mobile phones. Okay. All right, so if addiction to mobile phones is the main issue that we'd like to look at today, we need to unpack what an addiction to mobile phones really is about. What is it that mobile phones do for young people that we need to address? If I unpack addiction to mobile phones as an issue, just going to move across. If that's the issue that we're going to look at, if addiction to mobile phones, I'm typing live now at the moment for you. I would argue that it's not the mobile phone that is actually the problem. It's the main issue with mobile phones in terms of this addiction. Do you have a sense of what that might be? And now, can you give us a thought on that with regard to addiction to mobile phones?
Sorry, my mic was just lagging a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think the mobile phone is necessarily a distraction. It's that escape from all the pressure or all the work that student has to deal with. And it provides something fun, something different, and it appeals more to the student rather than boring math sort of stuff, as they like to say.
So they want to feel connected to something, connected to something else and someone else. And unfortunately, parents lose out generally in that, don't they? They tend to get second best to some person on the internet. All right. If that's the issue that you want to focus on, let's have a look at how we explore that. But I'm going to go a little sideways. I'm going to look at a project that we do and go through that project and show you what skills are built that actually undermine that area of addiction. Okay. Now that the students also know that, they're going to share with you shortly, they're going to share with you how the projects they're involved with address this sense of connecting appropriately rather than inappropriately. So connecting to families, connecting to each other, rather than connecting to random people online and being addicted to social media. So that's really the brief for you young people in our group today. How does what we do at PAL build a sense of a real connection between people, real connection between adults and young people in a positive way, and to do that through with the activities you do. So you have to come up with that solution right now. You had no idea that was going to be your focus, but now you do. So I'll give you thinking time by walking through a project that addresses these issues. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you are able to find your OneNote page, this also is for our students, if you're able to find your OneNote page, it's in a section called Problem Solving. We're looking at a section in your book that's called Problem Solving. Could everyone please turn to that section called Problem Solving? I'm highlighting it on screen at the moment. It might look a little different where it is, but that's the section I want you to look at. And there's a page in there called Reflection. How does the Eightfold Path work at PAL? And we're going to apply that knowledge to the question you have. So what we're about to see, I'm going to walk you through a learning sequence, and we're going to extract meaning from that. This is a project that's conducted in Year 8. And it's a project that is built around puppetry and the construction of puppets. Each one of these red boxes you see is a section of that process. On the right-hand side, I've selected some moments that are to do with wisdom, morality, and diligence. Okay, let me get started. First one. This is where the project starts. Students get together and they tell us everything that they know about puppets. What do they know about puppets? What kind of things do they see puppets doing from their childhood experience in the past? It is intended to set a sense of purpose for what we're going to begin exploring. Now, Anil, Jessalyn, I'm going to pop to you, Jessalyn. You have this page. Have a look on the right-hand side. There's some questions there for you to tick a box. I'm going to pop over into your book, Jessalyn, go into your page and see this page. And I'm going to ask you to tell me what you think. What do you think this task this is her page now, not mine. Can you tell me, if you were being asked to reflect on what a puppet was, which of those three things do you think is present? Can you tick those for me, please? Does the task develop a sense of purpose and a sense of direction? Okay, you think it focuses thinking and it connects to previous understanding. Thank you. All right. Let's unpack this now in terms of the big question to do with mobile phones. If we spend time asking these kind of questions, if we spend time looking at focusing thinking and connecting to previous understandings, Jessalyn, what do you think, how could this be helpful in training young people to connect to each other and to their parents? Can you write in there what you think how this might be helpful?
Yeah, so I think that through the puppet activity, it focuses on thinking because when you're acting as a puppet, you have to empathize with people to really express their characteristics. So in terms of understanding, the mobile phone situation, when the student's able to take on puppetry, they're able to delve into their own characteristics and their own mindset so that they understand themselves more. And so that's why I think puppetry focuses on thinking, and it allows them to connect and understand those people around them and themselves.
Brilliant, thank you. Now you could have written that there for us, but I'm glad you chose to speak about it. That's great. Now, this might sound weird. We're talking about puppets, we're talking about mobile phones. So I'm trying to give you the sense of a condensed experience of going from a learning activity in class and applying that outside into the real world. So I'm just going to go back to my book so I can work from there. Now, through this process of learning, look at what we do. This piece is a writing piece. Anil, I'm going to ask you to work with this one if that's all right. This is me introducing the history of Japanese puppetry, looking at something called bunraku puppetry. What you see here is a whole lot of vocabulary, so we're learning literacy. They have to listen and take notes from a video to watch. They have to watch it multiple times. They have to select quotations, and then they have to type up summary notes and develop a sense of questioning around the topic. So they're being taught specific information. They're having to find it themselves. They're having to think and come up with their own questions and summarize their notes for feedback. Now, Anil, in here, we have, I think, an example of morality being developed. That might sound a bit weird, but does it develop right speech? Does it develop communication skills? Does it require them to make wholesome choices? Do they need to act with their body, their speech, and their mind? Does it build on a student's role to learn? And are they becoming more skilled in what they're being asked to do? I'm going to pop into your moment. I'll see what you... So I'm now going into Anil's book. Let's see what he thinks about this. All right. So you think it helps students make wholesome choices. How do you think it does? Can't hear you now.
Well, so if we bring it back to phones, addiction to phones, you get, an influx of unwholesome information, and you don't really know what to choose from. Having this task, writing notes and summarizing videos, you have to choose what is right or what do you think is relevant. And this develops, this is like similar to what you have to do in the future situations, whether it be like choosing whether you take that promotion or you let someone else who's probably more deserving of it take it.
Okay, thank you. That's great. Thank you for that. I'm just going to skim through to the other ones so we can give you students more time to speak. We do lots of analysis here of deconstructing puppets. We actually tear puppets apart. And then we give them a purpose. In this case, we asked the students, we gave them a selection of real people that the Buddha interacted with in his own life. So real historical figures from the Buddha's own life. Each pair of students were given their own, and in this case, they were given a character called Bharadvaja from the Buddha's life, who was a very arrogant man. Then, Anil's already jumped ahead here, and then they had to actually create their own patterns, plans, designs, and they had to construct all of this material. Yeah. So, Anil, how does this build resilience?
As a STEAM-focused person myself, you're going to have trials and you're going to have some trials that fail. And it's up to you whether you continue after you fail. You can have many drafts as you want. Might work as well. But it's the resilience to, try again and try and figure out what makes it work, because that's important to this task.
And if you think about mobile phones, if we look at the issue around how do we get kids off phones, to be able to build resilience, to not have that constant reliance upon feedback from a friend, be able to say, no, it goes over there, you put it over there, you don't need it right now. You don't need people's constant approval. or disapproval. That's something that we focus on at school. We don't allow people to have phones in their classrooms unless they're using them for a particular learning tool. Yeah. We want kids to build positive connections, and that's what these two girls are doing here. They're developing a sense of positive, supportive teamwork. Yeah. Now, skipping through to the end, we have a design process. They have to budget and manage their own resources. And then lastly, we have these amazing puppets that are produced. And have a look at this. They're then taught how to make them work. Now, what we're looking at here is, two boys working with puppets, working with a female puppet, and they're building a real sense of awareness and connection of each other. Real connection, not I like you, I dislike you. Okay? Now, a way to get kids off phones is to give them meaningful projects where they have to connect as individuals. And one of the ways we do that is through the SRC. Now, I'm going to hand over to our student leaders at the moment because they can tell you how our young people at our school, how our students put the phone aside and focus on real meaningful connection around real world problems. Okay, so where would you like me to start on the screen, everybody who's in that group? Jessalyn, any thoughts where you'd like me to start?
Sarah, Nail will be speaking first.
Nell's first. Where should I start now?
Starting at Writer's Circle.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so good afternoon, guests. As you've heard, my name's Anil.
Over to you, Anil.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name's Anil, as you've heard, and I'm in Year 10, and I'm the current Vice Captain of our Buddhist school. I'm here to talk to you about Writer's Circle, one extracurricular activity that I'm particularly close to. As you probably heard from Ms. Land's opening address, Writer's Circle is I guess we've described as a literary covenant. So we talk about writing in different modes and writing different styles. We recently finished a flash fiction competition, which should be on screen. Just waiting for it to sync. And Writer's Circle taught me about the importance of refinement and taught me the importance of creativity and exploration. So coming back to the Eightfold Noble Path, talking about diligence, and it taught me how you should always strive to evolve your style and evolve your creative expression. And as you've seen, these works of mine, I wasn't really comfortable doing it at first, but I tried my hardest, and I think I improved as long as how the Writer's Circle has gone on. This poem, Second Fiddle's Gambit, it really tested my ability to be efficient with my words because it had a word limit, and I'm particularly known for not staying within it. So Writer's Circle is one extracurricular activity that develops diligence and as well as gets students to connect with themselves as well as not just connecting with random people on the internet. Thank you for listening, and I'll hand over to Janessa.
Just before you do hand to Janessa, I mean, you've had to connect meaningfully with your own thoughts and feelings, haven't you, in the Writer's Circle? And share those, not to some random people through a posting, but share those with groups. And what do the people in the circle do for you when you write a piece?
They provide me constructive criticism, which is always warranted, and as well as help me, refine it a lot more, because everyone has room to improve, and Writer's Circle is just the avenue to do that.
Great, thank you. All right, let's move on to the next group. So it's, is it Jessalyn or Janessa?
Janessa, sorry.
Janessa.
Okay, thank you, sir. So good afternoon, parents, teachers, and students. My name is Janessa, and I'm the 2021 Vice Captain of Power Buddhist School as well. The Student Representative Council is a group of student leaders from year 6 to year 12 who work together to improve the lives of not only our peers and our teachers, but also the PAL community. And at PAL, the SLC runs many different clubs that aim to allow students to break out of that addiction of mobile phones. And it's not really just mobile phones, it's also addiction of gaming and social media as well. And we do that by grounding students to realize and to respect their parents and to socialize and to also dive into the many opportunities of leadership, because it is those leadership qualities in students that make them realize that gaming or socializing on social media is not as important as real life opportunities that are given. Programs that the SLC runs, such as Dust and Shine, which is a student-led cleaning club, Voice of Students, Gift of Giving, Parents Appreciation Day, and Shape Full of a Sack, are so many of the different programs that the SLC does to allow students to nurture the wholesome respect and diligence to also have to cut off the addiction to gaming and social media as well. Some of the different clubs that the SLC is currently working on is not only just to motivate them to improve their morality, but also to improve excellence at PAL as well. And to also stir away from social media and from gaming is to make them realize the beauty of education and the beauty of mathematics, science, and English, and why it's so important to focus on that at such a young age instead of, going out into the world and giving getting involved in wrong programs or activities that are unwholesome. So one of the best things actually at PAL and as a student when I came here is that I realized that despite the small school size, we actually acted more as family. Everyone, I think from year 3 to year 12, basically know each other. And it's like that sister and brotherly love that we're able to guide each other to get off these addictions and to fight the teenage mindset, which is to, game or to not even get involved in class discussion. And that's basically what is causing students to not listen to parents, to focus on their phones and to show the disrespect. And that's what the SLC does. We focus on creating leaders within our peers and not just be leaders ourselves.
Look, thank you so much for that. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things before we need to move on to our second group who's going to address you today. Just in summary, we've also involved not only in education for ourselves, but giving of others, aren't we? Raising money, raising funds and resources for other schools, particularly in India and Cambodia. And that's an important adventure that the school's involved in. I hope you can see from today, in the short period we've had with you, the flexibility and creativity. You can see that even in the learning sequences that we do at our school, that in doing that, we are embedding the kind of thinking that opens their minds up to break away those things that hold them back. Now, one of the main things that holds people back is their fear. And at this point, I want to hand over to Mr. Sortel and his team of students who are going to share with you how our school helps break away from fear.
Thank you, Bodhidasa. Fellow teachers, Mr. Power, Miss Lamb, fellow staff and students. I'm the Creative and Performing Arts Coordinator here at Power Water School, and I am here to hopefully make some further connections. There will be some familiar concepts, but perhaps with a new medium with what we're presenting today. So my team is also Miss Kaur, Dr. Chung, and Mr. D'Alessio. So you can give a wave to all of those out there. And I have a few students with me today who can wave and address themselves as well, which is An, Kim, Melody, and Hui. So we are here to talk to you about fear. Now I'm going to invite you into I'm going to run this as though it's a classroom, just like what you've seen there. We're inviting you into a typical classroom atmosphere at Power Buddhist School. And, hopefully hopefully you receive that invitation and that we can have some interaction going as well. You've already had mention on the chat function for Teams. It's a little speech bubble at the top right-hand corner of the screen. And you also have the hand up function as well, which is just next to that. It's a little smiley face with its hand up like it's doing a high five. You all have access to this in your notebook. It's actually been sent out to you, distributed to your notebooks live. So you have a copy of everything that we're presenting today. And I would also note that there's additional material that for any of you who have OneNote open, I strongly advise that you do have OneNote open. It is part and parcel with an activity we're going to do together today. So have OneNote open, and you can see there on the left-hand side that you've got the content library. So there is some material in there for you to have a look at, and you can pop in there at any point in time. I'll be flicking through there in and out to show you some material as we go through today, but please feel free to interact with that material as much as you want to and let us know if you have any questions in the chat as we go. So now on to facing fear, something that's really important to me personally and something that's really important to creative and performing arts. Today's lesson about fear, we are learning to address one of the most common challenges in today's young learners, gain an understanding of how the wholesome values, wisdom, morality, and diligence, you've heard those words quite a few times today, are used in the classroom. We're going to find some inspiration for our student pals. We're going to discover how our students develop a selfless purpose to light up the world, and provide an opportunity for collaborative art making. And hopefully, if today goes well, I can actually set you up with an artifact, a artwork that I can send to you as a result of today. And I would just note here that in case, for those of you who don't have a Surface, a tablet, or something that you can write on with, something like this, a stylus, if you can see that properly, which is what we commonly use in the classroom to write down notes, and you'll see us doing that today. If you don't have one of those devices that you can draw and create artwork on, then I would encourage you to just grab a pencil and paper. That's really all you need. If you've got coloured pencils or textures, go for it. Sky's the limit. But in the very least, if you can grab a pencil and paper, that would be absolutely fantastic, because we're going to cover what we're going to do with that very, very soon. So the problem we're going to present to you today, like any good design project, if you will, starts with a problem that we create a solution to. And the problem here is fear and doubt are a common hindrance for student progress. Now, these have a strong correlation to a lot of the list that was put forward to you before before in Bodhidharma's presentation as well. Fear and doubt can be very common among young people. I'm going to break this into 4 parts: the fear of responsibility, the fear of confrontation, the fear of having an opinion, the fear of judgment. And we're going to hopefully make some connections between some big projects that we have at the school, the Eightfold Noble Path that we have already discovered today, and some other creative arts activities that are specifically geared towards challenging those ideas as well. Now, to kind of put that into perhaps a more very common term, I would argue that everyone in this call might have had experience with this sentence before, this sentiment. The concept of I can't draw. Maybe it is also I can't sing is a very common one for me with a music background, or I can't jump high enough in sports, or I can't do this. The word can't is important there. But specifically I can't draw is going to be a fundamental part of today. And the way we tackle that in Power Buddhist School, in the most simplest version I can give to you, is to first of all recognize that this is actually happening within your mind. And of course, for those of you with a method of note-taking, whether it is a stylus on a tablet or whether it is a keyboard and you've got OneNote open, feel free to take notes as we go along. We would usually expect such a thing from students as well. So if you want the true experience from a Pal Buddhist School student, then feel free to insert those notes when you can. So to recognize that that is happening, that you're saying the word can't, that's the first step, and we associate that with wisdom. To be able to identify that this is a problem for you, to be able to identify that you are experiencing fear, you are experiencing doubt, or even in some cases, what I see can even extend to things like hatred or delusion. Other people are better than me, I want to be better than them, motivations like that. If we can identify that, then that's really important. And then, of course, we have to do something about it, which is what we linked to diligence. So you see the three important concepts there. And there's a famous saying, I mean, it's been said quite a few times in quite a few different ways, but action breeds confidence. There's a few different ways you can put that, but I think I live by that, to be honest. If you can make it to that point in time where you can just say, yeah, I'm going to step on that stage, or yeah, I'm just going to pick up that pencil, I'm not going to worry about the judgment of others, and I can do it, then you are embracing this process. Now, another invitation that I'm going to extend to you is to actually live that process entirely. Now, we do have some students in the wings that they're going to present some fields that they have explored fear, specifically in the area of creative and performing arts. And they're going to look at the rights, which you've already heard mention of today. But while they're doing that, I actually want to invite our guests to create a collaborative artwork, to challenge your fear, to, if you have ever had that sentence in your mind of I can't draw, then you can challenge that right now. And I'm going to show you where all the information is in a moment. But really, what I'd like you to do, each of you are going to be assigned a letter. And if Ms. Kaur, I could get you to put that in the chat for me. So if you can take your eyes to the chat, find your name in that list that we've got there, and that'll give you a specific letter. And the letter is from a word that we explore as the theme, the Kappa theme for this year, which we do involves everything. And from there, once you've got your letter, I will show you where to find it in your OneNote, if that's how you are going to work today. But all I want you to do then is draw, colour, or visualise what makes you wonder. Right? However you want to respond to that is completely fine. In your particular artwork, make your mark, make it your flavour. It is open. It's free of judgment. And if you can challenge your fear in that regard, then you're doing this process that we're about to show you that our students do on a daily basis. So of course, if you feel that you're a confident artist already, an accomplished artist, or maybe maybe it's your profession, feel free to do the extension task that I've given you there. This is all in your notebook, so you can have a read of this in the background as well. And of course, I will show you this was an artwork that was put together by the students and staff in our group previously to today, and that is also there for you to refer to, for you to get inspired by, for you to ask questions about. So if you're doing that in OneNote, you can go into your notebook, which you will find your name. You'll find a section called Facing Fear. You can see just there on the left. And then you have different pages here for your individual note. And what you can do is actually just draw on it in there. And yes, of course, I draw better than stick figures, but just to illustrate how easy it is to use a stylus, I suppose. You can also use your mouse to do such a thing as well. It takes a little bit more time. Takes a little bit more time, but it is doable. And I am, well, you can even use your hand, but yeah, depending on what device you're on. So, in the background, if you have family here, if there's more than one of you here joining us in your living room or wherever you are at the moment, get somebody to do this while you are embracing what our students have to show you and the journeys that they have to take you on today. So, without further ado, we are going to hear from our first student. and they are going to talk to us about the fear of responsibility. I'm going to introduce you to Melody. Melody is actually coming to you all the way from Cambodia, and she's going to draw the idea of fear of responsibility to the right thinking and her journey as an international student. So over to you, Melody.
So, hello everyone, it is an honor for me to meet you all today. My name is Melody and I am a student from year 7. I have been an online student for over a year, and throughout my journey as an online student located in Cambodia, I have had to face certain fears of mine that I didn't know I had. And one of the biggest fear was the fear of confrontation. This fear made me feel as though I am in a constant argument with myself. One side of me would want to be heard by others, while the other side of me wanted to stay hidden from everything. But here at PAL, we have something called the right thinking. The right thinking is a debating competition that encourages students to fight their own fears of confrontation. And I know for a fact that many people face this fear, including my own classmates. I see many of them not wanting to be heard, always staying hidden. This is an example of fear of confrontation. And as a survivor of this fear, I know how hard it is to overcome it. I had been in a constant battle with myself since the very day I started school. But I had realized that this was taking me nowhere. That is why, even as an online student, I joined many different co-curricular activities at PAL. It was a sign that I had faced my fear of confrontation, and with the right thinking, every student is able to face this fear too.
That is such a great story to hear, Melody, and thank you for sharing. I am just going to go and scroll through. I'm going to find your notebook here as well, and we're just going to take a look at your particular artwork, which is not there, it is here. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your artwork, Melody?
Well, so when you told me to draw something that relates to wonder for my letter, I thought of the ocean. This is because when you really think about it, we haven't even explored half of the ocean yet. So really, what we haven't explored yet is really kind of a mystery. It kind of makes you wonder what really is there. So that is why I chose to draw marine animals and creatures. And you can see that I have waves and ocean. It's supposed to be an ocean, but it's black. This is because in the deepest part of the ocean, it is dark. So that is why I decided to make it black instead of a pretty color of blue.
Cool. That's so great, Melody, and especially from year 7. From a year 7 student that studies with us all the way from Cambodia and inspires her year 7 peers, which is a particularly challenging group for the concept of fear. Thank you, Melody. Thank you for presenting. Thank you for sharing with us. We are going to move forward, and I would just remind our guests that I will be providing the opportunity to share shortly. If you want to embrace that after hearing the fearlessness of our students, feel free to write in the chat. You could even post a photo of your artwork in the chat if you did so wish as well. Yeah, or put your hand up and share with us in person. We'd love to see your artwork and perhaps hear a bit of your story as to how you would tackle the concept of I can't draw and tackle your fear. So up next, we're going to hear about the fear of confrontation. And for that, we are going to hear from Anne, and she is going to draw a connection between that and the right. Have I got the order wrong, Anne?
Yeah.
It is Hui next, indeed, I believe, from memory. So we're going to hear from. Sorry, my OneNote is just having a slight delay here. Trying to open up the wrong page. So I'm going to head over to Hui, who's going to make a connection between the right action and his experience in the choir. Over to you, Hui.
Good afternoon, friends and guests.
My name is Hui, and I have been in choir. I am from Year 9 and have been in choir for more than 1 year. To be honest, I enjoy a lot of fun and learn a lot of wholesome lessons rather than feeling afraid of being judged by others. So today, I'll talk about the fear of judgment that I have had, how it affects my student life, and how I overcame it. So first of all, what is the fear of judgment? Well, in short, this is the fear or worry of being watched or judged negatively by others. Before I joined choir, I didn't have the courage to step up in front of the class and ask, "Sir, I want to join choir," because I have a lot of self-doubt, and also partly because I've heard a lot of comments from my friends and parents, such as, "Do you realize that you're a boy? And you know how horrible boys' voices sound when they sing?" Or, "You're a boy, you don't sing. Singing is only for girl." At that time, I was uncertain whether I should listening to my peers and my friends. So I'm pretty sure here most of us have heard comments like that and have self-doubt at least once in their life, right? These are the judgments that keep us from accomplishing what we wish to do. So did I. Lately, I realized that carrying the fear of judgment had a big effect in my student life. I had to live in a world where I had to always follow other opinions in order to be socially accepted. Those were the impacts that had made me become a true failure. In the end, I couldn't stand to miss so much opportunity to grow myself. So I started to build up my confidence and resilience by joining choir. Why did I join choir? Well, there's three things that I want to improve, that I want to prove to society and my friends and my parents. First, to prove the boy can sing. Second, to prove that genders are not matter and everyone has the right to do what they want to do. Thirdly and final, to prove myself that I can do it, that I can sing. Then I began to venture out and join other clubs such as art clubs, voice, jazz club, and so on. And I had a lot of fun while growing in confidence and resilience. Now I am standing here with all of my confidence and experience, hoping to inspire you to conquer your fear and judgment, to emphasize that other people's opinions do not matter to us and that we have the freedom to do what we want to do and pursue our dreams. May Mr. Totel showcase my artwork.
May, you're eager to tell us about your artwork, I can scroll down through the student notebooks and find your artwork somewhere around here. Here it is.
So this is my artwork. I chose the letter R because the letter R is represent for resilience. And I wonder how much courage and resilience did I have or do you have to be able to push all the judgment that negatively impact you in order to become success. Thank you for listening my speech and I hope you inspired you to overcome this fear of judgment.
I'm sure you would inspire anyone who is truly listening, Hui. Thank you very much for sharing. And just the sheer fact that you're sharing artwork, you're sharing your experience, the raw version of your experience, is fearlessness in and of itself. So, thank you, Hui. I would just recognise the fact that we are a little bit over time, I think, scheduled time today. So please bear with me. We won't be too much longer, but keep in mind, we are looking for people to engage and interact and share with us. So we would absolutely love for a guest to share their artwork in such a way that the students are as well. Up next, we are going to invite An back into the spotlight, as long as I have my order right. And An is going to be talking to you about the fear of having an opinion. She's going to make a connection between her journey with the poster artwork that she recently embarked on and linking this to the right speech.
Good afternoon, guests. My name is An, and I'm from Zianai. I'm here to share with you a personal story of mine. I'm really like art, but I had many projects were not completed, so I could always postpone it. I was always afraid of sharing ideas amongst other people. That fear had led me to think that no matter what I share, there would be people who disagree and never understand that there are two sides to a coin. After attending a power school, I had to face that fear through the right speech. It's quite hard for me as English is not my first language. It was constantly a battle between me and my fear, a battle where I thought, what happened if my opinion end up hurting them? I was scared when I did my first ever speech in front of so many people. I could never told support me, but throughout this journey, I grew a lot from learning about people's opinion and deciding what right and wrong. This year, this year has been tough of everyone, including me. However, I want to make the best out of this year. So I joined extracurricular clubs and competition. Fast forward, and I got chosen to the artwork with 3 other teammates. Excited and surprised, I knew this was an opportunity to be a part of something big. In term 3, COVID cases were increasing each day. I need to do all the painting by myself, and it's quite hard when we need to share our idea with 2 teams together. I thought that I, I thought that I was never going to end up with the result I want. Everyone had different opinion, so I was left with the burden of having to end up with the result. I was left with the burden of having to choose the best idea. In truth, I have to tell my teammates that some of the idea is not suitable for RTU. I follow along with the idea and didn't speak. If I follow along the idea and didn't speak truthfully, our artwork is not gonna looking good and couldn't have been handed on time. So I realized that no matter what, COVID can't solve the art. This is a both opportunity provide me with the endless benefit where it helped me be who I am today. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne, for sharing. And are we going to have a look at your artwork as well? For the letter art for today?
Yeah, the meaning of the artwork is the girl in the darkness is me before I go to the power school. And the galaxy is power school that have the competition, lesson, fan, and club that helped me to overcome my fear. And the board in the middle that when I go by myself in my own way to find the meaningful of my life.
You have a very unique way of dialing in meaning and purpose for yourself. Thank you for sharing. Anne is also a international student, one of many that we have at Power Buddhist School. She is a local international student, so she studies on site when we are not in lockdown, of course. So last but not least, I am going to invite Kim into the spotlight, and she's going to talk to us about the fear of judgment. She's going to reflect on her experience as a leader. Kim is a senior student, as a leader in the arts, and she's going to make a connection to another another big event that we have at the school called the Right Livelihood. Over to you, Kim.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Kim. I'm in year 11. It is an honor for me to be able to meet and greet you all here today. So I have studied at this school for 4 years, and I would say that I have changed a lot since year 7. A little bit about me, I am also a leader of the Explore Art Club, which students are being able to learn, collaborate, and share their interest in art. Well, the journey for me wasn't easy. At first, I have many doubts for myself. I used to think in my head that, well, Kim, you're not going to do this. It is really a long battle between me and myself because I knew that opening a club is not easy. It would challenge my responsibilities and consistencies. Well, the battle stopped only when I was introduced to the school internal competition, which was known as the Right Livelihood. To be straightforward, it is a cooking competition. Well, you may ask, well, how is that related to art? Well, let me explain this to you. When I started to learn cooking Through this competition, I realized that, wow, I can cook. That was my first thought. However, I learned more about consistency, integrity, and lastly, I learned more about responsibility. Really, if I would take one day to reflect on myself, I would agree that there are more I can learn from the competition. This training ground really makes me understand that it is okay to be afraid, to be scared of roles and responsibilities. But if I wouldn't take a step forward to running this art club, I know for sure that I have lost many more opportunities from it. And that is my story.
Thank you for sharing your story, Kim, and I am privileged to have been there since the beginning for that particular story. So thank you for sharing. And one last share from Kim. Let's take a look at her notebooks. You can see that we've got all of your notebooks here, just on my way. So feel free, anyone who is willing to share. I am asking your permission before I throw it up on screen, but please feel free to put it in the chat, put your hand up, let us know somehow, and we can share it live with everyone here. Kim, your artwork is here. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this one?
I would say that it's kind of like a new style of art that I never tried before. So I think that if you really thinking about it and you try it, maybe the result will be better than what you think. So this is what I think in my head when I do this artwork.
That's good. Sometimes that's all it needs. Just to follow that process and see where you end up. Thank you, Kim, again for sharing. Thank you, all students. So we have now had all fears addressed, and I would put it out there. I am not seeing any volunteers in the chat. So hopefully maybe this is an opportunity for you to just look at this question and just have a think about what's actually happening as you create your artworks out there. And, you know, follow from the inspiration that hopefully you got from our students. It is something that we do every day, really, at Powell Buddhist School. It is steeped into the student experience. So it is something that you can expect to be at the forefront, a challenge that you can expect to be at the forefront for your children if you decide to send them to Powell Buddhist School. And it will be a really great opportunity. So I will leave you with the sentiment of turn the can't into a can. As I always say to my students, those who say they can't won't, those who say they can will. And I really hope that we have people out there listening that have changed that to a can, and you've got some artworks to send through to us, and I can put them together and I'll send it back to you as a collaborative artwork, and hopefully we've got a full word. So you can either, if you are following along in the notebooks, just like the students here, you can actually put it into your page. So wherever you're drawing the artwork, I can find it and grab it from there. So you can leave it there in its entirety, and I'll do that later on today. Or you can, of course, send it to us via email or even put it in the chat. So all of those options are good. So thank you, everyone, for your attention. This has been Facing Your Fear, and I will hand back to our hosts. Thank you.
Thank you to all the parents who have expressed their comments. Thank you to Mr. to the Bandara family, and you know, all the others who had a voice and a comment. We do hope you enjoyed the open day and getting insight into our school. We will follow up with some information for those who did ask for it. Same for the primary group as well. I did have some requests from the parents. So if you do want to contact us directly, though, there is our email, our phone number, and our website, which has a lot of information on there. And anything else, we're happy to do talks. Mr. Powell or myself, more than welcome you to make an appointment with us. Or even if you want to chat to one of our teachers, if you want to get to know more about the primary or the high school, our teachers are also a fabulous source of knowledge that can help you out as well. Okay. So meanwhile, we thank you to all the students who were part of the presentation, our staff who of course put together and worked with our students so naturally and so organically to show how authentic the teaching and student relationship is at PAL. And to, of course, our attendees for giving your time up on a Saturday online and being so patient and tolerant with the technology and for the time you've given. And thank you to Mr. Powell and all the other staff who are working in the background. I know you didn't get a chance to have your face shown today, but thank you for stitching together the event. Okay, our admin team and our teachers, Mr. Newbrona, and all others who are behind the scenes, Mr. Wade, Mr. Liu, Mr. Tran, Ms. Lam, and so on. Okay, all right, well, we wish you all a lovely end of Saturday and a good weekend ahead. Okay, bye, everybody. Thank you.